Keep it light, keep it bright, keep it gay.
Hey guys, it's Sunday, February 14th, and it's Valentine's Day. No. I don't have as much work as I did the last few weeks. I still have a lot of work. It's kind of all spread out work, but it's still really big. I spent all day yesterday working on my play, and today I've got to edit it and send it off to my professor. I also have to read a play that he sent me, and I have to write up my research proposal, and I have to start a paper on the Iliad. Yay. I hope you missed the social commentary because it's back. In my Native American class the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about the Inuit, and this week we were talking about Nunavut. Nunavut is sort of a country within a country. It's the very northernmost part of Canada, which is reserved solely for the Inuit. Other people can live there, but the Inuit are encouraged to live there. It's sort of a sorry we screwed up from Canada. You see, what happened in the 1970s was the United States, Canada, and Greenland all decided to try and educate their Inuit populations. Sounds like a good idea, but you have to remember that these are hunter-gatherer groups. They move, they don't have permanent settlements, and they hadn't for 10,000 years. The governments didn't talk to any anthropologists at all and get any kind of opinions. They sent up teachers that didn't speak the language. Yeah, that's gonna work real well. And worst of all, they put them in permanent homes. And, you know, they were nice. They had kitchens and power, and if you wanted, you could get TV and stuff. But these are people that were used to living in igloos. I mean, you can't just put them in a house and expect them to just know what to do. But that's not the worst part about this. The worst part about this is this created a breakdown in the Inuit culture. The Inuit are currently one of the largest suffering populations of suicide. They have some of the highest blood pressure and cholesterol. And that stems from a few evils that have come about with a change to Western diet. You have a lot of alcohol problems, you have a lot of salts, sugars, fat. The Inuit are also disproportionately affected by diabetes because for 10,000 years they didn't eat sugar. Suddenly the only food they can get has been flown in, and that's all processed stuff. This is a culture that ate meat, fat, mostly seal, for 10,000 years. They're not just going to roll over and be fine with a Western diet that's all processed junk that we eat. To make a long story short, it was a disaster, and thus Nunavut was set up. This was set up back in 1990-ish, and the country had about 10 years to become economically independent from Canada. After that, the hope was that everyone would be off welfare and Canada could just kind of leave them alone. Well, 10 years went by, and that didn't happen, so they decided to extend the lease. Only now it's 2010, and guess what? Still hasn't happened. That's not really surprising. You screwed up a population that had been doing things just one way for 10,000 years, and you can't really expect it to just go back to the way it was. I mean, they can't just go back to being a hunter-gatherer culture. The cultural knowledge of how to survive in these intense conditions has been almost all but lost. That's right, they don't know how to make parkas by hand. Hunting, which was already very challenging, is a bygone art. You had the breakdown of families. I mean, it's just a bad situation. So what pisses me off about this? I'll tell you. What pisses me off is the morons in my class who think that just letting Nunavut go is totally fine. I mean, they had their second chance with another 10-year lease. If they can't figure it out on their own, screw them. That's a really irresponsible, not to mention idiotic way of looking at it. Some people are like, well, if it's so bad in Nunavut, why not just move? This is Western bias in the way that we do not understand how Native groups connect to the land. We view the land as a commodity. If I need to move because I need a different job, oh well, I move. It doesn't work that way when you're an Inuit. You lived on the same land for 10,000 years. Your people are deeply connected to it in ways that we Westerners just aren't. Telling them to get up and move would be deeply psychologically traumatic. And in fact, it was. That's why you have kids huffing gasoline. Yeah, that was a real great plan. Just get up and move. Sure. No. I can chalk that up to ignorance. It was a good thought. They're just trying to help. The thing that I can't abide is the people that just say, well, if they can't do it, they'll just have to tough it out. This comes from the idea that if we just make them go back to their traditional way of living, then, you know, eventually they're going to figure out how to do it again. I mean, they did it once, they could do it again. 22,000 people live in Nunavut. Maybe 11,000 of them would survive if we just shoved them out into freezing conditions with no means of taking care of themselves. The amount of irresponsibility that plan is tremendous. People are saying, well, yeah, but, I mean, at least half of the population will survive. Yeah, that's real comforting. 11,000 people die. 11,000 people! People flip out when there's one casualty in a war in Iraq. 11,000 people and you're okay with this? In fact, just to drive home what a bad idea this is, I'm going to tell you guys the same thing. Stop being part of consumer culture, America. Go on, right now. I'm serious. No, I mean it. Turn off your computer, throw it out the window, leave your house, leave your wife and children. They'll be fine. Just go out into the wild. Hey, why not? Your ancestors knew how to do it. Come on, you guys were living in caves 30,000 years ago. You can do it again, you pussies. Not such a smart plan now, is it? And I tried to argue against this, guys. I pointed out that Canada is not a third world country, and if they commit ethnocide on half of a population, the world's gonna get a little bit pissed off. The cynical comment was, well, since when did the government care about their people anyway? Guys, 11,000 people? Canada's not that far away. I think we'd get pissed off. I mean, you can't just sit there and snidely remark that governments don't care. They care to some extent, or they wouldn't be in power at all. People do notice when you kill other people, and other people get pissed off. Yeah, nobody cared about Hotel Rwanda. Well, there closes the social commentary for the week, but guys, you can't just write off none of it. None of it doesn't have a lot of industry that's true, but that's kind of our fault. We kind of need to fix this issue. We screwed up. Though I do actually have some other slightly social things to talk about this week. So I've been reading the Iliad for my Source Studies class, and now it's finally over. And when the professor asked us what we thought about the relationship between Achilles and Patroclus, I raised my hand and I had to admit, I think they're gay lovers. At which point someone in the back of the class was like, no, they're warriors. Warriors aren't gay. Hello, there are plenty of warriors that are gay. Even in our own culture, there are lots of military members that are homosexual. I mean, obviously they can't admit to it because of this whole don't ask, don't tell thing, but even before then, there were some gay guys in the military, or even straight guys engaging in homosexual activity. When you're away from home and lonely for that long, men have needs, let's just move on and get over it. Okay, guys? It's not that big a deal. I'm actually willing to argue the Achilles-Patroclus point, since Homer does go to such great lengths to say, hey, look at all the women they're sleeping with. That kind of makes it seem a little bit more like they're gay. I'm just saying, I don't really buy this whole straightness thing, and knowing what I do know about Greek mythology, yeah, they're probably gay lovers. I mean, there's just no reason to freak out just because they're warriors. I'm not saying that all of the guys in the Iliad were gay. Obviously not Odysseus, given all the poontang he gets in the Odyssey. You know, I always did feel bad for Odysseus, but not nearly as bad as I felt for Penelope. And he was one of my childhood heroes, but, I mean, Penelope is alone for 20 years. For 10 of those, Odysseus is off getting laid. Yeah, I feel so bad for him. He's screwing goddesses. And apparently I wasn't the only one in the class to think that Achilles and Patroclus may be a bit more than BFFs. After class, some guy came up to me and said he was so glad he wasn't the only one who saw that, and we've been talking about that after class the last few times. Well, guys, one last thing and then we'll finish up for the week. I want to tell you about my play. As I said, I did finish the draft, but that may or may not be a good thing. See, the professor really loves it, but it's just not working. I know that seems weird. He piled a bunch of praise on it, said it was really well written and that I'm clearly a good writer and all sorts of other wonderful things about me being bright and intelligent and yeah, let's boost my ego another day. But as a play, right now it's just not working is the thing. It's coming off as a piece of literature and not a piece of theater, and I don't want that. It came down to a matter of either we make this a good play or we make me a good playwright. Obviously, I chose to be a good playwright. That doesn't mean that it's gone yet. We're still going to try and salvage it, which is why we pushed out a draft this week, and I'm going to be sending it to him after I'm done editing this and editing it and a bunch of other stuff. After that, we'll decide if it's worth trying to save or not. If not, we do have a plan B that we'll push forward and do that. But I really like this play, and I'd really like it if it could work. On the other hand, it's also 20 pages too short, which really ticks me off. I thought that this would be a good, long one-act. But maybe it'll be a good thing. Maybe it'll give us enough page room to fix whatever's wrong with it. Maybe not, but we can only hope, right? So that's your vlog for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I also hope you're going to have a great Valentine's Day with your beloved, or if you're single and lonely like I am, then I hope you have a good time being bitter and eating popcorn while watching really bad rom-coms. Yay. In any case, I'll see y'all soon. Like I told you, I'm going to be back in Portland in a little bit more than a month now, so I'm going to see you all then. Mwah. Bye.
Times have changed! Our kids are getting worse! They won't obey their parents, they just want to fight and curse! Should we blame the government or blame society?
Or should we blame the images on TV?
No, blame Canada!